Well, hello and welcome to the second monthly ministry update. I'm assuming that most of you that are going to watch this are going to be watching after the fact. And so we're just going to kind of jump right in rather than waiting to see if people show up. But if you do come, I've provided this little nice thing right there to kind of help you see what's coming up, what some of the topics are that are going to be covered, and hopefully keep me a little bit on track. So again, thank you so much for watching it. If you're watching this, it means that you care a little bit more about what's going on in the ministry than simply just getting content, learning from the videos, the interviews, and the different things that are happening, but kind of want to know the ins and outs and kind of be praying for the ministry, what's going on, and what's kind of coming up in the future. So I appreciate that, and I love the fact that you guys are here watching. It's a small group, but I love it. So start off. Let's talk a little bit about YouTube. Hey, one person joined. Thanks for being here. And I do want to answer your questions at the end. So the advantage of coming live is that it's questions about the ministry, but also random questions. So this is kind of maybe a opportunity to have a little bit more of a personal Q&A if that's something that you're interested in. So first of all, YouTube, what's been going on kind of with YouTube. So two things is one, the first short video, let me get more centered here. There we go. Two short videos came out during the month of October. First one, False Ideas About Heaven. This was actually after watching The Good Place, a TV show about kind of heaven and hell, and really had some, I guess, negative things to say about the Christian view of heaven, talking about why it'll be boring and all this kind of stuff, and wanted to provide a response video to that. So that was the first one. And then kind of sticking with that topic, one student asked, what if I don't want to be a Christian, but I want to go to heaven? Can I do that? And so talking about why you don't get heaven without Jesus. And if you don't want to be a Christian, meaning you don't want to follow Jesus, I got hiccups all of a sudden. You don't want to follow Jesus, you're not going to go to heaven. And looking at the verse, if you deny me before men, I will deny you before the Father. And 2 Timothy, I believe, points that out as well. And so this idea of you need Christ, and he is important. He is the way to heaven. So those are two short videos. And then as far as interviews, Sean Arviso, pastor down in El Centro, joined me. I don't know if you guys watched this one. I'm assuming if you're here, you watch most of these. So just a quick overview in case you missed one. Sean Arviso, pastor from El Centro, California, joined me. He actually is from the church that I was able to speak at for a conference, and where the radio station is that I have at 100.1 KGBA is down based in El Centro. And he has written a series of devotionals, one on James, one on Genesis. And so he came on to talk about how to read the Bible well, tips to have good devotionals. After that, I had a Q&A that actually came from questions from one of my students, former students. He's in college. He sent me a bunch of questions. The first one was, should we call people in power bad names, right? You see a lot of people saying some pretty not nice things about Trump and their governors and different people. And so how should we speak about people who are in leadership and power and authority over us, as well as a whole host of other questions that came in through Facebook, through Instagram. So that was just a live Q&A discussing quite a few different questions that came up there. I'm trying to remember some of them off the top of my head. But yeah, discrepancies in the Gospels, differences there. Why were they written? Looking at resources for kids, like 2-year-old kids, as well as calling out your friend who's in sin. How do we do that? Should we do that? That kind of stuff. So it was a fun Q&A. After that, as I told you about last month, my mom joined me. And so she came on to talk about this topic of fear, moving from having toxic fear to holy fear, getting freedom from fear. That was a fun conversation. Loved having her on, as I always do. My mom, you're wonderful. Thank you. And lastly, my first book review. So I read the book, The Goldilocks Enigma by Paul Davies, an agnostic scientist who covers the big question of why is the universe just right for life? And he goes over the fine-tuning of the universe, but then does not attribute it to God, and talks about why he believes in what he calls the not so intelligent designer. And so this was kind of an encouragement from a friend of mine at church to do a book review and to do other book reviews. And so this is my first book review talking about this big question. And so to me, that was a lot of fun. And so kind of covering those issues. As far as the month goes, really fun, good month on YouTube. About 5.7 thousand different views, 606.7 watch hours, 91 new subscribers, a lot of them coming from my interview with John Lennox on Science and Faith. And so just kind of let you know of the reach of the ministry, quite a few people in quite a few different places. As far as upcoming interviews, this month, I already had an interview with Alan Schleman on Islam, and that is live, and you can watch that on YouTube if you want. But ones that are upcoming next week is with Daniel Carroll on the Bible and Borders, so a Christian view of immigration. The week after that is going to be most likely with Tim Stratton on free will and determinism, and atheism not giving you freedom of thought and using kind of the argument for reason to argue for Christianity and God's existence. After that, the first week of December, I think December 1st, is Fred Sanders. He's an expert at Biola on the Trinity. And so this is really kind of coming from my conversation with a Muslim at the Irvine Spectrum, really attacking the divinity of Jesus and the Trinity and thinking, how many Christians know how to defend the Trinity and to stand up for why we believe that Jesus is God? And so Fred Sanders is going to come on, expert in this area, to talk about the Trinity. And then lastly, the fourth interview coming up here in the next month is, and this will be December 8th, is David French, who wrote the book. Oh, it's right here. Hold on. Who wrote this book, Divided We Fall, talking about really the kind of the way in which we have separated ourselves from people who disagree, right? The liberal conservative divide, and really trying to come back to finding this place of where we come back together in kind of a common goal of our country. And so kind of an interesting, a little bit different of what I normally talk about, but again, faithfully living out and getting along with people, faithfully living out the Christian worldview, getting along with people that we often disagree with. And so those are going to be some upcoming interviews. Hopefully those are exciting. And again, the purpose of my channel, as you guys probably know and you're here, is to help you know, defend, and faithfully live out the Christian worldview. And so that is the goal of deepening our understanding and knowledge of Christianity, defending that against other worldviews and other beliefs, so needing to understand them, and then to live it out. How do we live out the commands of Christ in this cultural moment, dealing with the cultural issues that we have, and one of those being the divisiveness and the breaking up of our, the way in which we talk about other political parties is one way that I think that Christians need to, my opinion, do a little bit better at, and how we speak about other people. So anyways, those are some upcoming interviews. Hopefully those sound interesting to you. I'm really looking forward to them as well. The podcast, one new and exciting thing about the podcast this last month is that it is finally now available on Spotify and Amazon. And so Amazon Music and Spotify were two places I couldn't get it before because there were restrictions. They lifted those. And so now I'm able to post the podcast on Amazon and Spotify, or Amazon Music and Spotify, as well as iTunes and other podcasting apps. About 1,800 downloads, another 21 countries. So they're helping you see the reach there of the podcast. That's been a lot of fun. Chloe's still helping edit podcasts. Every other episode is edited by her. So thank you if you're watching this, Chloe. I really appreciate it. And just so you guys know. And then lastly, here, the website. 500 or 680 different visitors, 53 different countries, people all around the world accessing this information. So that's really exciting, just to kind of let you know of kind of where this message is spreading and where God is taking this to. As far as speaking, I had two different speaking opportunities during the month of October. The first one was at 412 Church out here in Southern California, about an hour or so away from here. And I was able to speak at two services on the evidence for the resurrection. I think there were like people watching online and people there live, something maybe close to 1,500, 2,000 people were there. Is a pretty full place. And so that was a really cool opportunity to talk about the evidence for the resurrection and why that is significant to us and to our cultural moment of the really the confidence that it gives us in salvation, the way in which we can need to reach other people and stand up for Jesus in this cultural moment. And it was just so cool because after I got done for both services, people came up afterwards and talked about how their kids had walked away from the faith, how their kids had gone off to college and are no longer Christians, and really they wanted to send the recording to them to see. And I really hope that they themselves learn this information and can talk to their kids, not just send them a video of me. But it was really encouraging to see the response of people as they not just recognize the importance of the resurrection of Jesus, but the way in which we can stand grounded in it with confidence that he rose from the dead, and how that impacts the way that which we live today. And so that was really encouraging. And it was just encouraging all the people that came up and asked for prayer afterwards, and prayer for their kids and themselves and family members that are really struggling in their faith. And so that was just a really cool opportunity. The second speaking event was at my home church, For His Glory Community Church here in Fullerton. And we're going through the book of Luke. And so I was able to speak on the end of chapter 5, the beginning of chapter 6, the book of Luke, talking about The parable that Jesus tells about you don't put old wine or new wine into old wineskins, and you don't put old clothing onto it, or you don't put a new patch onto old clothing, and really talking about Jesus coming and bringing something new. And then going kind of through the Sabbath controversies of his disciples picking grain on the Sabbath and eating it, and then Jesus healing the withered hand on the Sabbath, and really looking at the way in which people were kind of stuck in the way in which they were doing things and did not see the beauty of Jesus, and so focused in what was right according to the law, rather than realizing something was different and unique about Jesus Christ and him bringing something new. And so that was a lot of fun as well. It's such an honor and a privilege to be able to not only speak, but speak at my home church. So that was 2 different opportunities I had for speaking during this last month. Prayer requests. We're moving quickly through this list. Prayer requests. The first being, last month I asked for you guys to pray for Emily and I's home search. We actually put our first offer down on a place last week, but came in second place. We were outbid by someone else. And so really we're kind of still in this place of looking and asking for God to open something up. We're trying to find stuff obviously in our price range, which is difficult here in California as homes are quite expensive. And so mostly looking at condos and whatnot, but we just love your prayers as we continue to look for a place to live. We obviously have a place. We're not getting kicked out of our apartment, but really trying to find something that we can manage our money and our resources well and steward it well, and which God has given us. And so we're still in the looking process. We're going to go look at a couple places tomorrow, hopefully. I think one place is scheduled so far, but a few others hopefully are going to get scheduled. But we're still in this process of looking and hoping and praying and trusting that God is going to bring the right place for us, that is right for us, that we can raise a family hopefully one day and be close to friends and family and our church. And so that's what we're looking for. And so we'd love for you to continue to pray for us in that. Our first place that we offered didn't work out, but we know that God is in control and we're trusting in him. Lastly, I offered the prayer request, or asked for prayer as far as kind of finding another helper. Chloe came along to help with editing podcasts. Really would love some help, someone kind of helping to repurpose the videos that are created on YouTube and post them on the website. And again, I did about 4 of them last night in about, 30 minutes or so. So it doesn't take super long. It's just one of those things that's kind of falls down on my list. And so I'd love to help if you're interested in helping in that way. So there's the YouTube, upcoming interviews, podcast, website, speaking, prayer requests. I think that's about it. There's one person joining. So hi, whoever you are, thanks for being here. If you have a question, I'll take yours really quick. But if not, I will see you all again next month to kind of give you a quick rundown. Hey, look at that. I did it in 12 minutes instead of 20. I'm getting better. Give a quick rundown in December of what's going on in November and what to look forward to here at the end of the year. But other than that, I have nothing left to say. So if there's no question comes in right now, have a wonderful rest of your day. Guys, thank you so much. Thank you for your support, both financially and prayerfully. I so appreciate it. I'm so happy to be able to do what we're doing. Emily as well. She's not here, but we are both so happy to be doing this. And I'm thankful that you guys have joined us in this ministry in many different ways. And so thank you. Have a blessed rest of your day. And I will see you guys in the next live stream, but also in the next ministry update next month. Bye, everybody.